Hi and welcome to my channel. And last week I started this painting behind me, part one. So if you haven't seen that, I've put the link below and you could check that out, how I started this. And this week I'm going to go over it again. I've left it all this time. I've been thinking about it, wondering, what I might do with it. So we're on a new adventure today to see what it might turn into now. So my name is Joy Fay and I'm an art teacher and artist, and I help students develop their abstract art and their creativity and their skills in their painting. And if you enjoy this video, then do subscribe and press the notification bell, because I bring out videos every Monday, sometimes more often in the week, depending. So let's dive in and see where we go to with this painting today. I don't know whether we'll finish it, but we'll certainly make progress. Okay. So from last week, all the colours that I was using, and as you can see here, I was using some black and some browns, some teal, white, and some oranges and yellows. And they're still going strong, some of them. I've covered them in saran wrap and put a little bit of tissue in them to keep them moist, and here we are a week later and they're still okay, which I'm happy to say. I've also put out some other colours that I might use, and I've got all my different tools ready to go, dependent on what I might use. And this is kind of important when you're starting to get everything prepared, so when the mood takes you, you can you've got everything there that you need. And it's interesting when you come back to a painting, because you want to kind of get back in the zone. Now, I remember when I was doing this last week, where I'm living, it was incredibly windy. And I don't know about you, but when the wind blows constantly, it kind of is a bit unnerving. It makes you feel a bit on edge. And I feel that this painting is a bit on edge. Today it's much calmer, it's sunnier, it's lovely. So maybe I'll bring that a bit more of that calmness into this painting. We can get there by getting in the zone. How do we get in the zone? Well, obviously take some nice deep breaths, relax, and feel your way in. And you can do that in a number of ways. You might actually start by just doing some drawing over the top of the picture. Just kind of relax and get into that frame of mind of letting your left side of your brain relax, so you can move into your creative side, into your right side of your brain, and allow the thing to happen. I don't want to prejudge it. The whole thing about this painting was to not have any specific goal in mind. I wanted to, and I still want to, see where it's going to take me. And I don't know what the end result is going to be, how it will actually come to a conclusion, and I'm not worried about that. What I'm interested in is enjoying the process, which is, it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's enjoying the journey of painting and exploring and experimenting and, seeing what unfolds, and allowing yourself to go with that process without any judgment. And I have to say, it's easier said than done, because in the back of our mind, we all have this thing that you want to paint a great picture. Of course we do. But if we can discipline ourselves not to think about it in that way, is just to think about what the colours we want to use, how we're feeling, what colours are we drawn to, how we want those to go. And then when we start, the painting miraculously, don't ask me how, but miraculously gives you the guide. And that's what I'm going to be relying on doing this painting. So the first thing I'm going to do is to do some drawing on it, and take some deep breaths and relax and get into the zone. So I've just got a graphite pencil to start with, and I'm just going to begin. So I've speeded the video up a little bit because this took me a long time and you don't want to be watching everything all the time. And I thought, it's a nice opportunity to talk to you about all different things concerning abstract painting and hopefully answer many of the questions that I get from students about how they tackle abstract painting and the process. So I think if you grab a coffee and have a listen and whilst you're watching, you'll find it interesting, hopefully. So, I feel that one of the major points that a lot of people worry about is making mistakes, the fear of making mistakes. And, it's a very interesting thing when you think about this and where it comes from. Because the thing about abstract painting is there aren't mistakes. And, if you are aligned with your creativity and you're going with the flow, then you can feel into it. As I said before, if you're in the zone and you're feeling good about what you're doing and you're interested in what is happening with you as you're painting, then, mistakes actually don't come into the equation at all. So really just take on board the idea of experimentation and discovery about yourself and about the colors that you use. What colors are you drawn to? And what makes you feel good, really? And let it then really unfold. The other thing that is always an interesting point to think about is not rushing, not being impatient. In actual fact, this painting has, today doing this one, it's over 2 hours long, and whether I finish it or not, but I know what's going to happen. But it actually doesn't matter how long it takes and how long you might leave it in between times. We're not in a race to the finish. We're in a process of enjoyment, discovery. In many ways, actually, I kind of feel it's enlightening. It's enlightening to ourselves. And that's, to me, a really, really positive and interesting part about painting. That I want to discover something about myself. I want to see how I'm feeling on the inside, how that actually manifests itself in a painting. And you can't rush that. And as I said before, when I first started this, it was a very kind of turbulent time outside, which had an effect on me. I hate the wind, and it does make me feel anxious and not, calm really. And then when the mood has changed and the environment changes, then obviously the painting changes because I do and you will. And each kind of, I think, how would I say it? I think each layer that you do represents those kind of interesting swings in how you feel. And, honestly, we can feel different things every different second. Something can make us feel great and something can make us feel not great. At any given moment, it can turn on a button, which is, a fascinating process to actually observe in yourself. And your painting will reflect that. And actually, in a painting, you can have all those different kind of emotions. The thing is not to be afraid of it, not to worry about it, but more be intrigued and interested in it. And to me, that's something really magical about painting. And, with that not rushing, let the painting dry in between. If it starts to get too wet, take a break, have a walk, make a cup of coffee, go and do something else, and then come back to it when it's dried, and again get back in the zone and get back in touch and connected to what you're doing and to yourself. And this is a very interesting process as you start to really develop your painting and feel confident of it. And we're all, how would I say, even me, after all these years of painting, I can have some kind of trepidation of what it's going to show me. And in a way, that's sort of quite exciting and interesting, because what is there to be nervous about? It always makes me smile because it's only a painting, it's not life and death. So if you observe that in yourself, rather than get identified with that nervousness or trepidation, kind of step out of it and ask yourself why. And I feel that the answer to it is because we want people to like it. We don't want to be judged. And that is kind of underpinning quite a lot of our nervousness of what we do. So I feel that the important point here is to also look at your skills, see what more that you can learn about painting. And if you have those basic skills under your belt, then that feeling of trepidation diminishes because you have an understanding. And, throughout my teaching, this is what I really encourage students to do with my, various courses that I have, is to build their skills and therefore build their confidence. And, I have a free mini course that gets people started and gets the ball rolling, and then on to really what I call my foundation course, which is Abstracts Made Simple. And that goes into depth on all kinds of aspects of painting, from color mixing to color values, tone values, composition. It's a foundation to give you all those skills to develop your own pace. And then I have many other courses that I do. And I also have a membership course, because I think the other thing that we miss when we're painting, because we're, obviously painting on our own, is some support and encouragement and actually feedback about what we're doing. And not that feedback is critique in a very positive way. And when someone else is looking at a painting, they can say, this part I feel is really working. However, maybe you might consider doing da-di-da-di-da, whatever it is. And it's all positive and it's very helpful. And, within my group, the Artist Connection group, we cover those things in our Facebook group and have interesting discussions about, how we can, increase our understanding of our painting. And all that information is in the description underneath. And, for me, I feel that's the wonder of teaching, because it really helps people, students, get them the satisfaction that they want from their painting, to feel really good about it, to get that feel good factor that they've created something unique to themselves and feel really proud of it and happy. And what's more, it's a way of releasing all our stress and our anxiety and our troubles, the situations that life throws up at us. And it's part and parcel of everyday life. And I feel that we're so lucky to have painting as an outlet to, escape from that time into our creative zone, to let ourselves just be and be creative, and release those anxieties and tensions that might be around us. And, it's been a lifesaver for me, I feel, painting. From the get-go, when I first started, it was to get over a very traumatic situation. And gosh, how many years ago is that? It's years and years ago. So, I've developed that over the years to use painting really as a therapy for me. It takes me into a new world. And then when I have finished a painting, or I've finished painting for the day, that there's a new perspective about the challenges that I might be going through. And the same thing might apply to you. When you've spent that time being creative, not worrying or thinking about, what might be going on, you can come back to it with a different perspective. And I think that's a wonderful thing to have in our painting. So let's have a look what's going on here. There's quite a few changes, and it's going in some interesting directions. And I'm in the zone with this, and feeling, just time just disappears. I did this on a Sunday afternoon, and 1 minute it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the next minute it's 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and the time has just gone by with me totally absorbed into, enjoying this whole process. So, first of all, going back to basics, don't worry about mistakes. There are no mistakes, and we can tend to overcomplicate things, and get wrapped up in a thought process of, what am I doing? It's not good enough. I don't know which way to go. When you're feeling that, then it's necessary to take a really deep breath and relax. Sometimes that can be challenging. I'm not denying it, because if you get if you get a bit of in a twist, it's hard to get out of that. And that's the time to take a break. For me, I'll go for a walk, take the dog for a walk, go and do some gardening, just, do something completely different, change the feeling, and then go back to it and relax, start again, get back in the zone, and allow yourself to really go with the flow. So try not to overcomplicate it. The next thing I would say is, decide on your color palette to begin with. It might change as you go, but if you have too many colors and you start mixing them up, the tendency is then for them to go muddy, and then everything that you put on the canvas or the paper is not how you want it to be. So start with a few colors that you want, and then build it up as you go. And you'll see that that's what happens with what I do with this painting. And your color mixing, in order to get harmony in your painting, if you have a limited palette of just a few colors, it's much easier to be mixing those colors together in different ways, using black and white and each other, each different color. You'll get more harmony happening in your painting. And I've done quite a few different videos and many courses on how to get the most out of such a few colors, and all the different tone values and lights and darks that you can get from using, maybe 3 colors and black and white, and all the different wonderful things that can come from that. So don't overcomplicate it with too many colors to begin with, because that helps helps you not to go into a lot of mud. Now, another thing I do quite often, and I think I did it in the previous video, is turn the picture upside down. So you have, again, a different perspective on the painting, and you can see, what you feel is working, what isn't, what you can highlight. At this stage, I'm not really even thinking about composition. I'm thinking more about contrasts, color contrasts, lights and darks, and finding balance. And, one of the things that's so important in doing your painting is to find differences in shapes, differences in your contrast. So you've got interesting points to keep you in the painting. If you don't have those contrasts, the painting tends to be flat, and you don't really know where to look. It just kind of glazes over. So you want your interesting points, and you get that with those contrasts and those color values, with the lights and with the darks. And that's, again, a very important thing to learn in your basic knowledge and skills of your painting, to understand your color values and your contrasts. The next thing that I want to talk about really is using different tools and brushes. Here you can see I'm using a trowel, and this makes some wonderful effects on a painting. And again, I notice with students starting out that they'll tend to use the same brush. So that's why we want to be prepared before we start, and get the different brushes, different sizes, different tools, sponges, or whatever you want to use, rags. Have those all at hand, because then they're there for you to experiment with. Because if we get in the zone, we can just forget that we're just using the same one all the time. And I do the same. So that's why I have everything out ready. And then when I step back and have a look and see, I've got those brushes. Oh, yeah, I could use this, or I could use that. I use quite a lot of the silicone brushes, which are lovely, and you can get many different effects from those. And you can see, I think I'm using that there now, and I've got 3 different sizes of those. So I can get some nice different kind of textures with the silicone brushes. And then I'll swap it over to a normal brush, and I'll go into a scraper. So, try and have those things ready, so you don't just get attached to one size brush and not get the variation that you can get when you use different size brushes. So that's kind of quite a good tip for you to remember. Oftentimes a painting will go through so many different stages. It's inevitable, and many times it'll go into, quite a lot of chaos. And actually, that's what's happening with this one now. It's going in a completely new direction, and you might kind of get to feeling, if you're not careful, oh God, it's a disaster, it's just not working. And this, every artist goes through this. So it's an interesting time, because it gives you the opportunity to really dig deep into your creativeness and allow that to continue, because out of the chaos, something interesting will develop. And as I have gone with this, it's going through so many different stages, and I'm not feeling it's in the right direction at all at the moment. But that's not going to stop me. Even if I just paint over the whole thing, I've still got those layers and the experience of doing those layers underneath. And that's kind of, part of the wonderful thing about what we can do with abstract painting, because it starts to build up a kind of a story and a history, of the process. And it gives a painting so much depth and interest. So, I have seen so many students give up at this point, and I say, okay, leave it, come back to it, start afresh. And that underneath painting will take you in a whole new direction, which is when the magic happens. So I can't kind of stress it enough to not worry about the mess if one wants to use that. I tend not to use that phrase, because it's not a mess, it's just a development. It's a pathway to the next stage. It's part of the journey. It's going into the rough. And if we don't have the rough, we don't recognize the smooth. And that's life. The good times we can't appreciate unless we've had some challenging times. And it's the same thing with a painting. It's the journey of the painting. And you'll learn as you go that that's absolutely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it going into the rough, because it's part and parcel. And you can see now it's beginning to go a little bit kind of haywire with the colours. I'm just kind of going with it, seeing how I feel. It's not going in the direction that I had anticipated. It's something else is going to unfold, which is absolutely fine. And I don't have a problem with that. Now, in my studio, the light starts to change in the afternoon, and the sun starts coming in and changes the light. So I'm sorry if it's kind of very light on one side and a bit darker on the other. But at this stage, I don't want to stop. I want to continue and see what happens. But just the light changes in the studio, which makes it a little bit darker on one side rather than, and very light, sorry, on the other. So I apologize for that happening. So it's going in a completely new direction, and I'm just staying with it, seeing what happens. I'm using this silicone brush to find the colors from underneath. But obviously the paint still has to be quite wet in order for you to do this. And you will see I've been spraying it quite a lot. So it's staying quite, not wet, but it's still, you can still manipulate the paint and get those effects from underneath. So yeah, what a process. I can see that I'm not going to finish it in this session, and that's absolutely fine. I want to just take my time, because I think it's important to show you that Rome wasn't made in a day. It takes a little bit of time and the enjoyment of it. If it takes another week or whatever, it's absolutely, fine to keep working on a painting until you feel really satisfied with it and happy with where it's taken you. So it would be wonderful to hear your thoughts, and if you have any questions, do put them in the comments. We've been talking about many things today, which might have provoked you to think, that's interesting. I'd like to know more about that. So, ask me a question. I'm always answering all the questions in the comments, and your thoughts about the process. If you have a different process, also be good to hear. So back to the painting, I kind of feel as if it's gone in a completely different direction, and it may be time to just stop in a little while and take a breath and come back to it fresh tomorrow or in a few days when I feel re-inspired and want to get back in the zone of this painting. It's been a real kind of experience for me to go about it in this very creative, intuitive way. And I hope you've enjoyed it. So do check out the links below in the description, and if you'd like to take the mini course or the foundation course, they're all there. And if you have a look on my website, you'll see lots of other interesting masterclasses that I do to inspire and give you as much knowledge as I can impart to you. So I think this session is slowly coming to a close. I've been working on it now for a couple of hours, and I feel that this new direction is interesting. It's throwing up something completely different again and fascinating. I mean, who knows? Who knows where it will finish? It's certainly not going to finish today. I'm sorry. But I hope you've enjoyed the conversation, and there's a few takeaways for you to think about and to implement in your painting, and give you some extra boost of confidence to really kind of push your painting to the limit and see where it will go to, without holding back, and let it go through these stages to see what will happen. Don't be afraid of it, and no matter where it goes, it's giving you experience and hopefully a lot of pleasure and thought-provoking ideas that you can have as you're going, and what's going on with you as you're painting. And I think that's the whole point. It takes us into this other world where nothing else matters. And I think that's such a great thing. I think that we're so fortunate to have painting as something that we can enjoy and love doing and express ourselves. And it's going to be there for forever. And I think that's absolutely a wonderful thing to have. Well, it's been quite a marathon, and I'm not there yet. It's interesting the direction it goes in and how I feel about it. And it's changing, and I'm going to let it dry now. It's really wet, and I don't want it to go too muddy. It's gone a bit muddy, but I like that because that's going to come underneath. So I hope you've enjoyed this process, and we will carry on for part 3. So again, if you'd like part 3, press the notification button and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this, then give me the thumbs up. Okay. Have a great day, and I shall see you soon. Bye for now.